Hello, and welcome to this practice for grief. For this practice, try to keep your eyes open with a wide gaze, as if observing the vast horizon of a calm ocean, touching into a sense of stillness in each pose, as well as during transitions between poses. You will need a mat, a bolster, 3 blankets, perhaps an extra bolster, 2 blocks, a strap, and a chair. We'll begin with Supta Virasana, reclining hero's pose. Sitting on a block, hugging the outer edges of the block with your ankles, leaning back onto 1 or 2 bolsters, or in my case, I've propped up a bolster with another block and put a pillow on top of that so that you can really be comfortable here. And as you rest in the posture, you will find other ways to expand and deepen into the posture. Externally rotating the shoulders, opening the palms to the sky, lengthening through the back of the neck. So feel free to lift up the head, lengthen through the back of the neck at any time. Reclining hero's pose. There is an heroic quality to grief in 2 directions: for yourself as you are grieving, and for the loved one who has been lost. Work with all nostril breathing throughout the practice and feel free to engage with ocean breath if you like. Go for a sense of closure. When you feel complete, inhale and rise up. Always sit for a moment after each posture in this sequence to pause and feel and allow it for integration. Next, move into Purvottanasana, reverse plank, restorative variation. Bring the legs together, recline onto a bolster. Make sure that bolster is snugged up into your low back, touching the upper buttocks. But scoop the lower buttocks forward towards your heels and reach through the inner heels. Again, that external rotation through the shoulders, palms to the sky, adjusting to create more space in the back of the neck, observing your natural breath or engaging with ocean breath. Let your breath in either case be soft and easy. Let your facial skin be soft. Allow your whole body to soften and melt into the support beneath you and melt towards the breath, softening with the inhalation, letting go and relaxing with the exhalation. And again, go for a sense of closure when you feel complete. Walk the feet up, bend the knees, roll over onto your right side. Pause there for a breath or 2, and rise up as slowly as you can. And again, you'll sit for a moment, allowing for integration, practicing that wide gaze until you feel ready for the next posture, which is Adho Mukha Svanasana, or downward facing dog with your head on a block. Place the hairline, or where your hairline used to be, onto the block. Put the block at the height that works for you. You want to maintain space in the back of the neck, so make sure that there's still plenty of length there. Press down into the hands, lift up through the inner arm. Pull the front ribs in to the back body. Pull the low belly into the low back, but let the upper spine melt in towards the heart. Lift the kneecaps up by engaging the quadriceps. Lift the hip creases up. Hug the ankles in. Let the heels drop down. Lift up through the inner ankles. Spin the inner thighs back. claim your space in downward facing dog. Hugging the front body into the back body, opening up the back body, except for the back of the heart. Let that melt in, let the chest open, let the armpits open. Stay here for as long as you like, engaging in ocean breath or observing the natural rhythm of your breath. When you're ready to complete the pose, find closure. Notice what that means for you. And when you have that sense of closure and you're ready for completion, come down onto your knees and release from the posture. Prepare for Uttanasana or Adho Mukha Vrikshasana prep. Coming into a forward fold, you can do this instead of handstand or skip this if you're going to do handstand. So you can see I came into the forward fold very close to the wall and then walked up as close to the wall as I could. So this really brings the posture more into the balls of the feet and into the arms. The hands are pressing down. You can also do this away from the wall as I'm showing here. But have the sense that you're really dropping through the arms into the hands, into the earth, or go for full Adho Mukha Vrikshasana. I'm doing this here against a wall just to be safe. Kicking up, arms strong, neck and head relaxing down, core engaged, and then I attempt to bring my feet away from the wall, the door in this case, as much as I can, occasionally having to touch back into that wall, and then pulling away as much as I can, trying to stack the hips over the shoulders, which are stacking over the wrists. So trying to have a long straight line of energy there. And when you're ready, coming out of the posture and again sitting with the wide gaze and preparing for Shirshasana. And these are variations of headstand. You can come into this yoga mudra variation, taking the crown of the head to the mat, lifting the hips up, clasping the arms and reaching them overhead. Or interlace the fingers and make a little cup for the back of the skull. You won't actually be putting pressure onto the crown of the head here. The shoulders stack over the elbows, and then you try to get the hips as much over the shoulders as you can, walking the feet in. You can stay right here if you're able to get into this posture, a half headstand. This is great practice, lots of arm strength here. If you're able to kick up into full headstand, again, make sure the weight is being borne by the forearms. And the upper arms are also very strong here. Try to relax the shoulders, lift the upper back and the shoulders away from the neck. Don't put a lot of pressure or weight into the crown of the head. Lift up through the core, up through the inner heel, up through the ball of the foot. And then try to come down with control. As always, resting as you come out of the posture and taking a moment to sit and find that wide gaze, allowing yourself to integrate everything that has happened in the posture. And then prepare for Ustrasana, camel pose. Coming into camel pose a little differently here, right out of Virasana, lifting the hips up and then walking the hands up, lifting the heart. And then you can have the hands on the low back or on blocks. I'm demonstrating with hands on the heels. Make sure that you're pressing the hips forward and they are in line with the knees. Lift up out of the side waist, lift up out of the pelvis. Keep lifting up the chest, only dropping the head back if you can maintain space in the back of the neck. Lift the back of the heart up into the chest. Inhale to come up and out. Exhale, sit down and rest. You can always stay in these postures longer and certainly stay in the resting seated posture after the pose longer. Next, moving into legs up the wall, Viparita Karani, placing a bolster near a wall and coming into legs against the wall, really squishing your buns against the wall as much as you can. Then lift up through the inner heels, bring the legs together, feet together, allowing the chest to open. Shoulders and upper back should be resting firmly onto the floor. And again, that external rotation, palms to the sky. Observing your natural breath or engaging with ocean breath, but all nostril breathing. And allowing that front body to melt into the back body melting into this very gentle supported back bend. Notice how many back bends there are in this practice for grief, because we are opening up the heart and the forward folds, opening up the back of the heart. But even in the forward folds, keeping the chest spacious. Resting here into the supports beneath you. Back of the neck long, skull softening into the support beneath you. Keep lifting up through the inner heel, a light press of the ball of the foot upwards. Feel the pelvis settling into the bolster. Feel the low belly relaxing, softening, expanding. There's a lengthening through the navel. As you're ready, bend the knees, roll over onto your right side, slide off the bolster, pause and rest for a moment. And as always, at the end of the posture, sit for a moment, practicing that wide gaze, seeing the horizon. Next, use a block, knees are bent, feet on the mat. You'll be lifting up into a Sarvangasana variation, supported shoulder stand. Place the block under the low back, lifting up the hips to do so. And then settle the low back onto the block. And when you're ready, lift the legs up into the air. Try to stack the ankles right over the knees, which are stacking right over the hips. Let the low back drop into the block. Let the tailbone lengthen and drop towards the earth. So make sure you're not bringing the legs towards you or lifting the low back or the tailbone up off of the block. Again, notice the back bend. External rotation through the shoulders and arms, palms to the sky, back of the neck long. Relaxing the jaw, softening at the root of the tongue. Allowing the forehead to be broad, the back of the skull to melt into the earth. A little bit of core work here to hold those legs up into the air. When you're ready, feet to the mat, hips lift up, slide the block out from under, and lower down vertebra by vertebra. And rest here for as long as you like. I will also demonstrate a full shoulder stand practice if you want that. You'll need 3 blankets neatly folded and stacked on the mat. The bolster you'll need in a minute. First, fold the mat on top of the blankets because you'll need that stickiness for your upper arms. And then place the bolster in front of the stack of blankets with the mat over, and carefully position yourself here. Pelvis on the bolster, nape of the neck at the edge of the mat where the blankets meet, and then lift yourself up and over into plow. So bringing the toes to touch onto the mat behind your head, and then positioning those arms, keeping the elbows in line with the shoulders, hands on the low back, lifting the legs up into the sky. Once you're there, work to walk the hands down the back without letting the elbows slide out towards the edges of the mat. Keep the elbows in line with the shoulders. And then keep moving the hips forward but the legs back. So you can see I'm slowly lengthening up here. This is incredibly hard work. You'll burn thousands of calories in your shoulder stand. And I'm slowly straightening out. I could straighten out more. I could bring the hips farther forward. If not in this lifetime, maybe in the next. But you can see I continue to work on this throughout the practice of shoulder stand. So never really arriving, always taking the journey, being on the path. When you're ready with control, bring the feet back to the mat behind you. Use your core strength, lower down with control. Drop the feet into the support beneath them. Rest with your hands on your belly, breathing in and breathing out. All nostril breathing, natural breath or ocean breath. Whatever allows you to have that sense of stillness. As you're ready, inhale, come up. Exhale, find that steady seat, wide gaze, seeing the vastness of the horizon. Feel the space that you have created for your grief, a container in which to hold it and to tend to it with care. When you are ready, prepare for Setu Bandha Sarvangasana. You need a bolster, a strap, and 1 or 2 blocks. Position yourself on the bolster so that when you recline, your shoulders firmly meet the mat, and place the blocks so that your feet can rest on them. A strap above your knees, as tight as is comfortable, will allow you to more deeply relax into this posture. Again, palms to the sky, back of the neck long. Allowing the heart to open, feeling the support at the back of the heart as well. Legs relaxing, back of the neck long. Release through the jaw. Release at the root of the tongue. Meet your grief wherever it is. Allow yourself to feel all of the emotions in the safety of this container. Observing your breath, all nostril breathing, full inhalation, allowing for the expansion, observing the completion of your exhalations. emptying out the breath. Exhale, exhale, exhale. Stay here for as long as you like. Go for a sense of closure before you complete the posture. Slip out of the strap, roll over to that right side. Pause there for a moment, giving yourself time, taking your time, rising up, finding that steady, easy seat, finding that wide gaze, finding your peripheral vision, as far to the right as you can go, as far to the left as you can go, but in stillness. So not scanning the horizon, not moving from right to left, but taking it in as widely as you possibly can. The final posture will be halasana. This is plow pose, and this is a restorative variation using a chair. Fold a mat in half and then fold it in half again and place it firmly on the seat of the chair. Take a bolster and place it just so. I did not film all of my attempts to get it in just the right place, so take your time, as much time as you need. You want the occipital ridge, the very base of the skull, to be resting at the edge of the bolster so that your head and your neck are not falling off of the bolster. So take your time here to set this up just right. And you'll use the pressing down of the arms and your core strength to lift yourself up and over, placing the fronts of your legs onto the mat, which is on the seat of the chair. As you can see, there's a 90-degree angle here at my hip creases. You want your hips to be stacking over your shoulders as much as possible, and then allow the femur bones to really rest into the chair. I started off here with my arms overhead, holding on to the legs of the chair. Eventually, I let that go and allow my arms to simply rest into the floor. Make sure the legs are really resting onto the chair. And don't try this with the chair at the wall. It might seem like the chair will be more stable, but you won't be able to get your feet to be hanging out the other end of the chair. So you do need to be able to simply come up into plow pose on your own with your core strength, have enough opening through the body to get there. And once you're here, notice there is some challenge to breathing deeply and fully. The exhalation is very much supported, but the inhalation is more challenging, much in the same way you might feel when you're grieving, that there's a heaviness or a tightness in the chest. However, with practice, breathing with this Jalandhara Bandha in place, the back of the neck again super open here, and the throat, the front of the throat, really curled into itself. It does challenge the breath, and at the same time, it will strengthen the passages that carry the air from the nose down through the throat into the lungs, and it will strengthen the lungs themselves. And of course, the lungs are where we hold grief, where we see grief that is not processed, causing problems like pneumonia, or perhaps some people believe even lung cancer. So breathe easy here. Keep your breath soft. Keep the jaw soft. When you're ready to come out, place the arms down again if you did move them somewhere else, and use your core strength. You can see I came out very slowly with control. And you can certainly stay in that posture longer if you want to. And definitely do rest here on the bolster. Again, make sure that you're not hanging off the edge of the bolster here. You can see my chin is not too open, and there's a lot of support there for the whole back of the neck and even up a little bit into the occipital ridge. Now just enjoying that nice spacious chest, the ease of the breath moving into and out of the body, resting. So important to rest as much as you can when you are grieving. And then slowly coming up. I didn't pause to rest on my side since I had already rested on my back for several breaths. And then sit for as long as you like. And notice the tendency to always want to close the eyes. We're moving into stillness, deep stillness. But keep your eyes open, keep your gaze wide. There is nothing to fear. There is nothing that you don't want to see. Allow yourself to see it all, to feel it all. The pain of the loss, the sadness, the fear, the anger. At the same time, love remains because love is eternal. Namaste.